We'll go to the next question. Is there any more?
This question is for Mr. Murphy. Transportation issues in this part of the district are different than in others. Interstate 84 is congested from the state line through Southbury. What can the federal government do in terms of either funding or mass transit or improving Interstate 84?
You know, we were in Waterbury earlier today, Congresswoman, and I think the answer that applies to Waterbury when it comes to the connection between transportation and the economy is just as true here in Danbury. The salvation of Connecticut's economy lies in the opening up of our corridors to the major economic centers of the Northeast, which is New York and Boston. We need our businesses to be able to move goods back and forth, goods and people back and forth from New York and Boston in order to convince people to locate here. And the fact that Connecticut continues to get a paltry sum back to this state on each dollar that we give the federal government, I think should be very disturbing to the taxpayers in this state. As one of the richer states in the nation, I understand that we may not get back a dollar for every dollar we send, but we are amongst the bottom few states in the nation in terms of the money that we receive back. That is in part why our roads here are in such tough shape. But that economic salvation also comes in understanding the power of mass transit. And if you want to know how I look at mass transit, it is a very different vision from the one that this Republican Congress gives us. We ask our mass transit system to do something that we don't ask our roads and bridges to do: make money. We don't build rail lines if they don't turn a profit. Well, the profit comes in the long haul. The profit comes from the increased economic development that kind of investment in mass transit brings to this region. So I'm going to bring with me to Congress a laser-like focus on increasing funds not only for improvements to 84, but also to improvements to mass transit, which I think could much better serve not only Danbury, but Waterbury, New Britain, and all the major economic centers in this district that are struggling right now. No doubt they are struggling, but we can do better if we make those investments in mass transit.
Nancy Johnson.
You know, I'm amused by my opponents chiding me about not going down the list of people with ethical problems. I thought I'd just be kind of polite and gentle because Nancy Pelosi is the next one on the list. Nancy Pelosi is one of the few members who was fined for giving illegal contributions to other members. Also, the Nature Conservancy, you know, I don't think of the Nature Conservancy as a lobbying group. They help us preserve our lands. They're highly skilled. They're highly knowledgeable. And if you don't yet know that environmental issues are global, you better get it. Because it's not just global warming. It's global environmental protection. And that was as valuable a trip as I've ever been on. And you can't learn it without being there, talking with the indigenous people of the Andes. So I go to learn to improve the quality of my service, and in transportation the same thing. I was the first one to get money for the little Housatonic Valley Railroad so it could restore itself and restore freight traffic and thereby save jobs in the northwest corner. I also have been a loyal and strong supporter of Amtrak in Washington because rail is undervalued, underinvested in, and underutilized in America, and we have to do a better job. As for our highways, I fight for good money for our interstates because they need repair and upkeep. I'm the one that changed the law so the secondary roads could be repaired with federal money. Why? Because the small towns carry a very heavy burden with all the miles of roads they have to take care of. And their gas taxes could only be used on their primary roads. And so by changing the law to allow the money to flow to the secondary roads, I've helped the small towns manage their transportation burdens considerably. I've also been a strong proponent of the busway between New Britain and Hartford. We want to take the traffic off the highway with new and inventive approaches to transportation policy.